Hi, my name is Whitney Smith with the Smith Investigation Agency. Today I'm answering some questions that you've sent in. Here we go. What happens if a PI gets caught investigating somebody? At the end of the day, this is going to depend on what happens in terms of how they get caught. So we've certainly had issues, especially on the insurance and that corporate side where it's slip and falls, where you can have career claimants. And these individuals are very aware of their surroundings. Their lawyers will coach them on investigative techniques that might be used to, to find them, to locate them doing things that goes against the limitations and restrictions that they list. So we certainly have individuals where, you could be the best investigator in the world and you could use 5 or 10 investigators and it doesn't matter. The individual is still going to be aware of their surroundings because, again, there's a gain for them on the other end of that, right? If they can continue out that claim, then they're going to continue to get paid out and they don't have to work or, whatever their situation might be. So, if an investigator gets caught, typically speaking, the way that we operate here at the Smith Investigation Agency is if one of our investigators is out on a case and they call, myself or, one of our surveillance case managers and say, hey, I feel like this subject's a little bit warm to tail. What do you want me to do? Typically, we'll say, back off. We'll send somebody else in or, we'll put the individual in maybe a rental vehicle or if they have a secondary vehicle that they can switch with, or we'll switch the investigator. We might add 2 or 3 investigators, and of course that's going to depend on a client's budget, but ultimately we want the best success for the case. So we're going to, work with the client as much as possible so that we can continue the investigation, without, the individual catching on to surveillance. So sometimes it's a matter of just switching some things up, but ultimately if an investigator does get caught, and the subject becomes warm to tail, we just say, get out of there. Like, don't stick around, don't get caught, don't tell them who you are, don't tell them why you're there. Ultimately there are cases where, funny enough, there's a lady that's in the industry that I've heard, and, she always says, she's Croatian. She always says, I never got a burn. And I remember being on a surveillance case with her, and in front of me, she got burned so bad by a subject. We were in a very rural area, and I was a secondary investigator coming in to assist this investigator. And so I'm on the phone with her, and I'm heading into that file, and she says, okay, we're at this intersection. And it was a 4-way stop, literally in the middle of nowhere. And she says, okay, the guy stopped and I'm behind him at the stop sign and he's not proceeding through the stop sign. So she's not moving because she doesn't want to lose sight of him. So she stays behind him at this intersection in the middle of nowhere, which naturally someone's just going to go around the disabled vehicle if that's hypothetically what the situation is. So, I'm several minutes away, again, coming in as that secondary investigator. So I hear the investigator talking with the subject. So he gets out of his vehicle and she's like, oh, he's coming out and, he's right here. And he's yelling at her, I know you're an investigator. I know you're following me. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's trying to, play it up in all these different ways. And at the end of the day, she was burnt. But this individual was a career claimant. There's times when I've worked on, when we have multiple insurance clients as our clients, there's times that we've had the same subject with 3 or 4 different insurance companies, because in Canada, the privacy laws, you can have a claim with one insurance company and then you can have a claim with other ones. And because the privacy laws, one company does not speak to the other. So there are a lot of individuals who have those claims. Fun fact, that's why we pay the highest insurance premiums in Ontario, anywhere else in Canada, because we have more claimants that are on claims. And of course, insurance companies are paying that out. So if an investigator gets caught, traditionally speaking, we're just saying, get out of the area, don't be there, don't engage with the subject, don't get in any altercations with them, just take off. If the individual is following you, do your best to safely avoid them. You could potentially drive to the nearest police station or somewhere that's public and safe. You obviously can disclose if it comes to a situation where the individual's, potentially blocking in a vehicle or something like that, then you can disclose, I'm an investigator, you need to back off, you need to go away. Whatever. Again, that's going to totally depend on the type of investigation that it is, because if that's a personal situation and it's an infidelity or maybe a child custody situation, the exposure to that family member is there. And then you're going to want to communicate with that individual that you've hypothetically been burnt so that they can safely prepare for that individual potentially coming home or, confronting them about that situation. So, there you go. There's a little bit of information on that one. If you have any questions that you want to send in that we haven't already answered, feel free to do so.